We're going to just pump the brakes for a second.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to put you on the spot because you don't know what's happening.
Thank you.
Because I said we're going to have old friends. You love visiting with old friends. I feel like if we had a bottle of whiskey, you'd be pouring a tumbler full right now with some ice in there and giving it a clink.
Lots of ice.
If I was to say, if your hints were old friend and baseball today, so if we were going to talk baseball with an old friend.
Ooh. Owen Nolan.
Not Owen Nolan. Ladies and gentlemen, our good pal, Adnan Virk, on Barn Burner for the very first time. There he is. Look at this guy.
Great to see you guys. I love the fact, Boomer, you didn't go more than one guess. Like, don't make it awkward for Rhett. He guessed Owen Nolan. Incorrect. Let's not start going. How about another guess? How about another hit? No, make it easy for you. Great to see you.
John Morosi? That's unbelievable.
You guys look great. Boomer, I love the shades, right? I love the staff. I love what you guys are doing. This is awesome, man. Congrats.
Well, thanks. We're loving it.
It's been good. How's Adnan doing?
I'm doing great, Rhett. Everything's great. Obviously, the quadruple header of baseball today. I got this little Amazon hockey gig coming up, so I'll be heading to Winnipeg for the first ever time. I'll be in Edmonton for the first ever time, so it's great, man. I can't wait.
How's Winnipeg and Edmonton? You lucky duck.
Wow.
You've really that's
home
runs to use the baseball for
Canada. Listen, 5 trips to Toronto, Sunday dinners with my parents, 5 trips to Montreal, to my favorite cities, but 1 trip to Edmonton in December and 4 trips to Winnipeg, including 1 in February.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That one will be dicey.
Well, this is awesome because we've wanted to get you on for a long time, and we're unsure about navigating waters and that sort of thing. And it just so happened that the Amazon thing comes out now we get Adnan on the opening day of baseball playoffs. So this is perfect. So with baseball in mind, but I do want to go there. I said to you, hey, you're getting some of that Bezos money. Attaboy. There's some of that to be. It feels like that's the thing. If you can get in with Amazon, that's where you want to be. So what is it exactly? And kind of walk us through, because the announcement came out last week.
No, for sure, man. So what happened was I was actually at the Emmys the night that MLB Tonight, we won the Emmy for Best Studio Show, which was shocking. I don't think anyone had us picking because we beat SportsCenter, NFL Live, NBA Countdown, and PTI, pardon the interruption. So afterwards, I'm seeing Amina Hussein, who's an old ESPN friend. And, we're both mocking ESPN, the fact that we won and blah, blah, blah. And she's at Amazon now. I said, oh, great. She goes, well, we'll keep in touch. And the next thing she calls, I have an Amazon gig for you. And she starts explaining it to me. And she goes, you're going to be the host of Prime Monday Night Hockey. And it's always featuring a Canadian team, and it's primarily in Canada. And I said, Amina, I pride myself in Canadian humility, but I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find anyone better for the job than me. I said, we just won an Emmy, for God's sake. So let's just start now. Just give me the job. I said, this is going to be great. I said, of course. I was born in Toronto. I grew up in Kingston. I know these Canadian teams like anyone. Of course, I still love and follow hockey. But having lived in America 14 years, I understand what Amazon's about, the way you guys do things. I watch Amazon's Thursday Night Football, the way you want to use analytics, metrics, etc. So I said, let's get this done. So I have to give credit to MLB Network, fellas, because if I was at ESPN, they demand exclusivity. If you work for ESPN, that's it. That's all you do. NBC, CBS. Thank God MLB Networks. And you know what? It's the MLB off season. You want to do this? You want to go to Winnipeg so badly? You want a bison burger? All right, fine. Good luck to you. I can't wait, pals. It's going to be awesome. And by the way, it's all old friends. Andy Petrillo, who I worked with years ago at MLSC, Mark Askin, legendary Hockey and Canada producer. He just called me yesterday. We want to talk about Pete Rose. I took the under on his death, but regardless, Jody Shelley, Thomas Hickey, I work with those guys at NHL Network. Of course, Jody's great with the Blue Jackets, and Hickey does stuff with the Islanders. So it's great, man. Of course, John Forsen's been calling hockey for 40 years. So I can't wait, boys. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Hickey's a Calgary guy, which is one of the nicest guys going. It's interesting, I guess, to hear it that way, that Amazon would a venture for Amazon that kind of primarily get those electrolytes in you. That's focused on Canadian markets, Canadian games. That kind of we kind of get the shaft up here, as you know.
We're not overly supportive.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right, guys. The way it was they go, I go, it's always 2 Canadian teams. They go, well, ideally, but no matter what, it's 1 Canadian team, and ideally, it's always going to be in Canada. So I think of the schedule of the 25 games, I'm doing 20 of them. And like I said, 5 Toronto, 5 Montreal, 1 Ottawa, 1 Edmonton, 4 Winnipeg. I think Andy's got a couple in Montreal, but it's primarily in Canadian cities. And then there's some U.S. cities as well. I got 1 in Chicago, 1 in Columbus. The weird thing is, I don't know how the schedule goes, but I'm like, no Flyers, no Rangers, no Bruins. I would have thought for sure, like, oh, I'll have a game in Boston, a game in New York, a game in Philly, close to where I am in New Jersey. We did get a Devils game, though. So I'll have at least one home game. I can drive and I'll have to take a flight. But I'm curious, fellas. You guys have flown. You know what it's like. How the hell do you get to Winnipeg from Newark? Newark to Minnesota? Minnesota to Winnipeg? I mean, that's going to be tough.
Toronto.
So from Toronto, Newark to Toronto, Toronto to Winnipeg.
Yeah, I would expect it would be, yeah.
Yeah, the running joke is, Adnan, that Winnipeg doesn't have an airport, so that you've got it regardless of where you go. I'm not sure. I think they do, though. If Pinder were here, he would tell you that they don't have an airport. But well, that is cool. So when you were doing the Zoom call there, hey, we've got. Sorry, I got my Emmy in the road here. Sorry, you said about a job. Did you a potential gig? Well, that's awesome. And you know what? I'm all in as well. You will be the best at that. That's fantastic.
Oh, I'll never forget, Boom. You were so gracious to me. If anybody, nobody was more supportive of me than you when I did the NHL draft. Like you seemed like you discovered kryptonite, or like you were like, holy smokes, the NHL draft was 8 hours, and Adnan somehow did this entire bloody thing on 4 days' notice. Nobody was nicer than you. And I still think about the guys. Alexis Lafreniere, who's coming to his own, had a great playoff last year. Quentin Byfield, the Kings, was number 2 overall. Tim Stützle went to Ottawa. That's about all I got. I remember the first few picks.
That's pretty good. That's you're doing better than I. But no, what it is just the appreciation. When you host different things, you look at things differently, and everybody else is, well, I wonder who they're picking, and I wonder what the pick's going to be. I'm watching. Is he getting in his ear? Who's talking to him? What's happening there? Has he got these notes? Is this off the top of his head? Yeah. But you've just always been one of the most talented guys going out there. So I'm happy to see it. So now you mentioned the cooperation with MLB Network. Kind of walk us through that gig and I guess everything that you're doing, because obviously we haven't talked to you in a long time.
Yeah, so MLB Network's been great. MLB Tonight's the show that I do, so that's like our sports center. That's our daily sports show. So it's been awesome, man. Honestly, I get to do the evening show, setting up all the games, then lots of live looks. I'm sure you guys know this as well, because beyond being broadcasters, you're sports fans. It's interesting how like sports tastes have waned and changed. Like people say to me, "Oh, you don't watch much ESPN anymore." I said, "Well, no. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people watch sports anymore because you have all the highlights on your phone, and I don't know about your kids. My kids just want to watch YouTube and they get their highlights there." And I said, it's a different generation of us growing up watching primetime and Chris Berman and all the rest of it. So I find what is great about MLB Network is the focus is on the games, which is what it should be. So we're setting up the games, we're showing you games, it's live looks, it's highlights, and that's kind of where it's at. So MLB Network's been great to me, man. 5 years I've been there, and again, the quadruple header today. And the great thing about those guys, they'll let you do other gigs. I can come on and talk with you guys. I can do whatever I like. So I've been so fortunate, fellas. Seriously.
Yeah, it's nice to have that flexibility. I know that's one of the things you hear from people at ESPN. You can't do anything. You're boxed right in.
Yeah. 100%. You can't even I'm trying to think of anything, even podcasts like that. They demand exclusivity. Now, I guess in their defense, they'd say, well, it's ESPN. We're the big boys in the block. We're taken care of. But anytime somebody can make a little bit extra scratch and you're saying no, I mean, that can always be a little frustrating. And sometimes it's not even about money. It's just maybe a speaking engagement, something you're passionate about, having to go through them all the time. It can be a bit unnerving, but yeah, but it is.
Rhett and I were talking yesterday. Do you like Rhett's mustache, by the way? It's new.
No, I love it because I really do feel like I'm in Canada, quite frankly. Like as I see Rhett's look, I go, we didn't have the mustache. I go, I kind of like I'm in Canada right now. I get the whole look of it. It feels very Canadian. And boom, the fact that you've got the sunglasses on, it's great. It's kind of like an homage. Howard Stern, Bob McCowan, is it because
sure, yeah.
The lights are so bright. Is that what it is? Or
so bright, yeah. Well, and you know what? I people don't need to see me with my eyes watering. I'm dabbing away stuff for an hour and a half. Rhett did ask. He said, "You think this is we're getting into soup weather? Hey, we're getting into soup time." And it was not sad. We were very happy. Yeah, the temperatures are going down. It's time to definitely get the soup on.
No, one of my boys is like that. The other day I was like lamenting. I go, okay, we're going from like plus 27 down to like early 20s to get cold. He goes, like, I can't wait till I get to put a hat on. I go, what? Like you're looking forward to winter hats? And I said, we call it a toque back home, buddy. I know you're American here. He's like, no, I got to put my beanie. I go, it's not a beanie, it's a toque. He said, I can't wait to take my jacket on, a hat, and get some hot chocolate. I said, wow, in this American, we got some Canadian. But speaking of good soups, mushroom soup to me is fantastic. It's so funny you guys brought that up. The other day, someone said to me, they go, I know this great restaurant in New Jersey has got the best mushroom soup you've ever eaten. So I cannot wait until it gets frigid, and I'll be heading there for some mushroom soup.
Nice.
Best ever.
Now, have you got a little Yankee love going on under? I'm not looking for you to derobe, but I feel like I see.
My son is a huge Aaron Judge fan. Like he's the biggest Aaron Judge guy ever. And I said, you know what? I can support the Yankees. Boomer, your team, right? You're a Yankee fan.
That's right, buddy.
I said because of Aaron Boone, of course, my old buddy from ESPN. So I said, you know what, pal? Between us three and everyone watching, we're pulling for the Yankees this year. We could have a Subway Series. I mean, this would be pretty remarkable. No one's mentioning it, but you could have Yankees-Mets Subway Series. And how about my buddy Booney? Again, Boomer, it's your team. I don't need to tell you. Every year, 90-plus wins in the playoffs, with the exception of last year, #1 seed in the American League. And every year it feels like Booney's fighting for his managerial life.
Yes. Yeah.
This guy's a great manager. They all like him. They all love him. They're the #1 seed. What more do you want here? Now, I get it. You want to win the World Series. Without that, it's a failure. I get that. But I don't think my man gets enough credit. It's funny. When I worked with Booney, he was such a calm, laid-back guy. And then one of the first times I saw him managing for the Yankees, got thrown out of a game. He's dropping F-bombs. Let me tell you, that guy was like a church-going choir boy. I never heard one profanity out of his mouth. You step back between the white lines, and all of a sudden, savages in the box. It's been great.
That's right. I got savages in there. I got a bunch of savages in there. Rhett and I, we were talking yesterday that even if you're not a diehard baseball fan, it's hard not to get pulled in. Playoffs start today.
You are in October.
We had an example yesterday why baseball playoffs, it wasn't even a playoff game. It kind of was that the first game between the Braves and the Mets. And I don't know if you saw what happened. We saw exactly, it feels like no lead is ever safe. It's a roller coaster of emotions. And I would guess for guys like you that you're right in the teeth of it on a day-to-day basis, how great this is. Do you travel? Are you going on the road at all as the playoffs continue?
I won't be traveling, unfortunately, but I'll be in the studio watching all the games. And you're right, Boomer. Yesterday was unbelievable because I was at the studio. We're doing this all MLB show. So basically, it's the nominees for all the best players at their position, the top 6 or 7 players, is Steve Phillips and Dan Plesac. And we have the game on. I see it's 2-0 Braves, and everyone's so negative if you're a Mets fan, right? They're always such doomsdayers. Oh, the game's over. And the way home, I hear the Mets take the lead. Then I was on a call. I heard the Braves took the lead. I said, I got to get the hell home. I got to get off this phone. I got to go watch the TV. And I saw Lindor's home run. I said, this is incredible. And it makes me think about, of course, I love baseball. I love it no matter what, regular season, playoffs, spring training. But I have so many people I know who say, well, I'm a casual sports fan, but I lock in for October. I'm not going to be watching baseball in August. But October baseball, I'm in. And days like the quadruple header, 2:33, 4:38. I remember being back at Ryerson, and it would be like a 1 and a 4 and a 7 and a 10. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm clear my schedule. We're getting some pizza and some Pepsi. I'm just going to be sitting on my ass watching playoff baseball all day. It was no better feeling. It's the best. And now I will attempt to do that, but I'll have children strewn about me, so I can't exactly pull it off. But it's awesome, man. I think what's great about playoff baseball is this. In the other sports, I was telling a friend of mine, I said, the Celtics won. They were the 1 seed, and they won. Okay. In hockey, the Panthers were expected to do well. They did well. In football, the Chiefs were the 1 seed, but again, it's Mahomes. No one bets against Mahomes. In baseball last year, it was Rangers and Diamondbacks. There's nobody in their right mind who expected that to be the World Series 2 wildcard teams. So I think with baseball, the unpredictability is what's so fun. The 2 1 seeds are what? Yankees and Dodgers. I'll tell you right now, it ain't going to be Yankees and Dodgers. It just doesn't work that way. Would it be incredible? Of course it would. We get Freeman and Mookie Betts and Ohtani and Soto and Judge and Cole. Ain't going to happen. There'll be a couple upsets along the way. I think the Dodgers starting pitching is a little bit shaky. I do think the Yankees could go all the way, but it could be Yankees-Phillies. It could be Guardians, maybe not Brewers, but Guardians-Padres. The Padres have a great team this year. So I think looking at all those different potentials and possibilities makes baseball so fun. Bob Costas put it really well one time. I had him on, we were talking, and he said, with playoff baseball, it's like nothing happens, and then everything happens. I think you're just kind of watching them casually, and all of a sudden you lean in and you go, and then one hit and you go, oh my God, the whole game has changed. And that was like that yesterday for the Mets.
Yeah, they just chipped away at it. Now, the Guardians, were they your pick, did I see?
Yeah, I may have lost my mind because I really want to pick the Yankees for Booney and for my son, but I said, you know what? Everyone's going to pick the Yankees. It's an easy pick. So here's the thought process in the Guardians, and a lot of it is, of course, being Canadian, because they got Josh Naylor, who's Canadian. They got Bo Naylor, who's Canadian. And I just think the general vibe of this team is that in the playoffs, bullpens can do great. Here's my one quibble with playoff baseball. The regular season and the postseason feel different. Like in football or hockey or basketball, it's the same sport. Playoff baseball is different because they have more off days. And what ends up happening is that you really only need 2 starting pitchers, and that's a lot of bullpen games. So it's so weird. From when we grew up, we'd watch, Morrison, Smoltz in 91, and he'd have these great starting pitchers. Even 2019, the Nationals had that great starting pitching led by Strasburg. Now it's kind of like, well, just go once through the order and then empty that bullpen. The Detroit Tigers are in the playoffs after being 10 games out August 11th. Since August 11th, they're 29-11. They just went out of their minds, couldn't stop winning. And what happened is you go, well, who was the star? Or Tarek Skubal is great. Okay, he's doing the Cy Young. He's the best pitcher. Who else? Man, it's a bunch of dudes. Like,
Yeah.
it's just bullpen. They just roll guys out. There's just a bunch of bullpen guys. I'm like, all right. So it's weird as a fan because you go, I used to just be able to think, here's your 3 starting pitchers. Okay, Smoltz, Glavine, et cetera, Maddox, and then we'll just figure it out. Now it's like, oh, they're just going to throw a bunch of arms at you. So long story short, Cleveland, Boomer, has an incredible bullpen. And so I said, all right, there's more built-in off days in the playoffs. You can rest and recover. Clase is the best closer in the game. They have offense. Jose Ramirez, by the way, was 1 home run away from being a 40-40 guy. And another 40 doubles, 40 stolen bases, 39 home runs. Josh Naylor, again, Mississauga, Ontario. Stephen Kwan's a great player. So I said, you know what? Guardians are a 2 seed. They still have the bye. I've got Guardians, Yankees, ALCS. Guardians win. Cleveland has not won a World Series since 1948. It'd be a hell of a story for a much maligned city. I'm going Guardians, Phillies.
Nice.
Whoa, what a party that would be.
They're ready in Philly. They're always ready in Philly.
And to Rhett's point, speaking of parties, so again, Major League Baseball, Fox executives, we want Dodgers, Yankees, of course, the star power. I started to look at it, I go, what would be the most upsetting World Series? Like, what would be the World Series that, like, only I would watch? And I think Guardians Brewers might be it.
Brewers, yeah, for sure.
How often are you two going to be saying, hey, how about that Royals Brewers World Series last night?
Yeah. I mean, you think about this baseball season and everybody having fun at the expense of the White Sox. And I got Soroka's jerseys, poor Calgary kid playing in Chicago, having a tough year. Between that and watching what Ohtani did this year, it's amazing that you're still getting things that are almost generational, things that you've never seen in your life. You're still getting now in Major League Baseball or in sport general. And having Ohtani in the playoffs, that maybe a reason to feel good about watching the Dodgers. I'm not sure.
No, without question. I think it's funny when you look at the sport overall. Like my buddy Dan Levitar was chiding me saying, the sport that you love so much, there's only like 4 baseball players that everyone knows. And he goes, if he's the top 50 most popular athletes in America, he goes, Ohtani's incredible, Judge is incredible. And he goes, I go, Mookie Betts. He goes, okay. Bryce Harper. He goes, that's it. Because nobody else knows who these guys are. I go, so you're trying to insult me and say baseball is no longer wasn't popular. I go, let me tell you this: 70 million people watched games this year. It's the most since 2019. Ratings on Fox and ESPN up 8%. Ratings at MLB Network up 9%. Jersey sales for Ohtani alone through the roof. And I said, you might want to say it's just the Ohtani effect, but baseball's in a great spot. I understood his point, which is that in the 1978 World Series, 44 million people watched. Last year's World Series was, I think, 8 or 9 million. But guess what? We didn't have Netflix back then. We didn't have TikTok. We had 3 channels, so there was nothing else to watch. Well, I guess I'm watching the World Series. So there's more options now. It's a different environment. I get that. Football's so powerful here in America. Hockey's so powerful back home. But baseball's still in a great spot. And it goes to what you said, Boomer, which is Ohtani. The Ohtani effect is so strong. He's the number 1 in terms of jersey sales. He's obviously a global icon. But there's people who wouldn't know a baseball from a football, and they go, oh, that Ohtani guy, huh? He's pretty special. 54 home runs, 59 stolen bases. Like, those are just staggering numbers. I remember Seiko 40-40 in 1988. I was 10 years old. 42 home runs, 40 stolen bases. Going, wow, this guy's a freak. Big, strong, so fast. 54 and 59. And you try to get these poo-pooers who go, oh, 59 stolen bases. The stolen bases are different today, right? You can only throw over once. They got the pitch clock now. It's kind of like football. Now, like a defensive lineman, once it goes to 1, you just run. You're just going on the snap count. Same thing as a stolen base. Ohtani knows, well, he threw over once. He disentangled once. I'm going. Once it gets to 2 seconds, I'm going. Oh, be that as it may. Was everyone stealing 100 bases? Well, no. Was Ohtani still second the most stolen bases in the National League? Yes. So it's not like everyone's Vince Coleman all of a sudden. He's still unique, still runs like a gazelle. I watched Mookie Betts on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and Jimmy said to me, he goes, what's it like? It's a funny question. What's it like? You're this great player. You're incredibly talented. And then Ohtani shows up, and I'm like you can't match this guy. Yeah. And Mookie laughs. He goes, yeah. He goes, I mean, obviously I can't pitch. I can, Mookie's an incredible bowler, good basketball player, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but I can't match this guy. And he goes, what about speed? He goes, you're faster. And he goes, no, Mookie's, of course he's faster than me. Like, if we ran a foot race, he's like, yeah, he blows me away. This guy's 6'5". He runs like a gazelle. So, I only met him once, met Ohtani at the All-Star game this year. We had all the Dodgers together. It was Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, and Will Smith. And Ohtani was on the other side of me. And I wish I would have like a minute or two just to kibitz, just so I could tell this story to my grandkids one day. Oh, that time I met Shohei Ohtani. But he was great. Like, he was classy. He was gracious. Obviously went through the interpreter. Freeman was a little more accessible because as soon as I mentioned Canada, I said because his dad was born in Windsor, mom was in Peterborough. So he's definitely got some affinity for us. But that star power on that Dodgers team, again, their pitching is what concerns me. It goes Yamamoto, who of course came over from Japan, has been really good for them. Flaherty, who was a great trade deadline acquisition. But after that, it gets a little bit shaky. Walker Buehler has really struggled this season. Landon Knox, a rookie, is their 4-starter. I don't think LA wins the World Series because of their pitching isn't strong enough. But having said that, Ohtani's first time in the playoffs, boom, like the amount of excitement you're going to get for every Dodgers game, and they're going to start playing on Saturday, it's going to be amazing. And again, best case scenario is Ohtani balls out and the Dodgers make some noise.
Yeah, waited so long for, between him and Trout. When are these guys going to play? Obviously, with Trout's a different story, but I almost want to see him around for a while.
I was just going to say, for hockey, some guys need to go into the playoffs and to learn what the playoffs is like. Like, is the pressure? It's always been big on Ohtani, I'm sure. Is there anything that there's no chance he's failing?
No, but I'm with you, Rhett, as far as the whole point of the pressure being on him, because you're right. Like, Ted Williams is arguably the greatest hitter of all time. Once in the World Series, he didn't play well. It was like the 1945 World Series. I think he went 5 for 20, and like it haunted him till he died. And then he's cryogenically frozen, and his head is floating away somewhere right now in a freezer. But point being, you only get so many opportunities. And Mike Trout famously has only had one opportunity in the playoffs, and he went like 2 for 8 or something, or 1 for 12. Like they lost in 3 games. That was it. Is it fair to say Mike Trout's not a good postseason player? Of course not. He only had one opportunity, but that might be the only opportunity he ever gets. He plays for an Angels team which just lost 96 games, and he hasn't been the same player because injuries have crushed him. So it does happen. Ernie Banks is one of the great shortstops ever, never played in the playoffs. So I'm with you, Rhett, that if you're Ohtani, you have to. I know in your head you're thinking, well, I'll be in the playoffs every year. I want the Dodgers. Well, not necessarily. Probably because the wild card system, more teams get in now from those other players I mentioned, Banks and Williams. But you have to approach the situation like, I'm the best player in the world. I'm going to get a minimum of 4 at-bats a game. There's going to be at least 3 games. So in those 12 at-bats, if I go 6 for 12, everyone will always say I'm one of the greatest players they've ever seen, and I'm going to go bonkers. I'm going to carry this team. Like, think about his flair for the dramatic. When he was on the verge of 50-50, he does so and just with like the most outrageous baseball you've ever seen in your life. 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 10 RBI. Like, I would honestly, if you said to me, what's more likely? Ohtani he gets to hit in every single at bat. Look at this. He gets on base in every single at bat in the playoffs. Either he gets a hit by pitch or a walk or a hit, or he doesn't get a hit the entire time. Like, it's more likely he gets on base every single time.
Yeah.
That's his spin. That's his flair for the dramatic.
So 4 games today. It's the quadruple header, as you've talked about. It's your dream come true. Now, do you have work duties today? Because you said you're going to have kids around. What's going on?
So the good news is they have work off today. So first pitch is an hour from now. But I missed the days, fellas. Again, it was 1, 4, 7, and 10. So you really could just stagger it and just watch baseball. And, if there's a break, well, smoke a few heaters and make a few phone calls, get back to the game. Now you can't do that. Now. And I'm so annoyed because it's television, damn it, because they have the games later in the day because less people watch them. What about the unemployed? What about those of us that work at night? Like, wait, why can't you do a game at noon? Like, that would be a noon baseball game. I'd be ecstatic. I'd watch the whole game before the kids get home. But yeah, 2:30 game, then 3 o'clock. My kids come home at 3. I'm going to watch 2 innings. And they're going to, but we all know this in parenting. Couple iPads, they go a long way. All right? Hey, kids, here's an iPad. If you need me, pizza, let me know.
Yeah, solid parenting. Or you could move out here because we're 12:30, 2:08, 3:30, and 6:30.
Yeah, see, that's fantastic.
Pretty good.
Mountain time, great for sports, Adnan. Really good for sports.
Pretty good. So what are we doing for grub then? Because if you got 4 games, I don't want you wasting away. We're going to need some sustenance.
Yeah,
Rhett says he's not a snacker, but what are we eating today?
DiGiorno pizza, baked to 450, put it in there for 90 minutes, rising crust or some crap, whatever, sure. Kids will like that. Take it out there. The big thing is you got to let it wait 5 minutes. I take that sucker, I start cutting it up. Oh, Dad, it's too hot. Wait, come on. Shove it in your mouth. Look at it. Watch myself on fire. Okay, just give it 5 minutes, then we'll cut. Pizza and Pepsi going a long way.
Fantastic, buddy. It's so good to see you, to talk to you. You're doing. Congrats on the hockey thing. You do deserve it. You're the best at it, and can't wait to be watching you. And would love to get you on a few times here over the course of the winter and catch up again.
Yeah, whenever you want. Boomer, Rhett, it's great to be reunited. By the way, how's Pinder going? Before you say goodbye to me, how's my man Pinder doing?
I don't know. He's in Australia.
He's down under.
Yeah, he's in Australia.
He's still a part of the show. He's not like been excommunicated.
Well, we're thinking about it. We're having a chat after the show, just how smoothly things seem to go.
You get to talk a lot and interact. It's something.
Yeah, you get to finish thoughts without somebody jumping in on you, and it's weird. I'm not used to it. So
I didn't mean to poke the bear, but he's down in Australia. Okay, hopefully he enjoys those koala bears and those kangaroos and comes back.
He'll be very disappointed that we had you on when he wasn't here, because of course he's a big fan of yours too. So
of course, we'll make a return appearance whenever you guys want.
You're a beauty. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
Enjoy the
Adnan.
baseball. Take care of that family.
All right, thanks, Boom. Thanks, Rhett. Best to you guys as well.
There you go. The best.
That was a lovely surprise.
How about it?
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.